Welcome to the Godcast. Cross up on my back, I'm slaying demons. It don't matter what you call that. Searching for the truth, facts are facts until they fall flat. It's looking like a story, man, it's all cap. But it's goodness over darkness, it ain't all bad. I'm at my maker, but I was called back. Emmanuel, show my people they're under a spell. Heaven or hell is free will. I made my choice and now it's well with my soul. I pray the same for you as well. Welcome to the Godcast. Welcome to the Godcast.
No sound that whole time. We just did that whole
Awesome.
intro. Thank you, Stephen, for letting me know that we had no sound. But okay, welcome. It's been a while since we've been here. Mimi was showing
One more
off
time.
her lovely shirt, the Stop Geoengineering. Matt Landman, shout out to you for sending that to us. He sent us a bunch of stuff for the baby as well, our grandbaby.
He did. He sent us a beanie and a sleeper.
Yeah. So shout out to him for that.
Yes.
And thank you for letting us know, Stephen. It said mute, and I didn't even realize. I don't know how it got muted. We didn't have anything up, but whatever.
It's probably because it's been a minute.
It's probably because StreamYard's just messing with me again. That's kind of how these things go. So we're here. We're going to talk about all sorts of different stuff that's happening in the world. There's a lot of craziness that's been going on. In the last 2 weeks, right? Things have really not even 2 weeks. It's been like a week. When were the guidestones blown up? Was that last week?
Yeah, about a week ago, maybe. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
less.
the 6th or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's been like 1 week, and so much crazy stuff happened.
6/7.
No,
7/6.
Yeah, the 6th.
Yeah.
So today's only the 14th. It seems like a lifetime ago that happened. Because so much
they just mauled him over after that, and it was like done.
Yeah, so much other stuff happened.
This is the past now.
Shinzo Abe, he was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
You had the vegan city had their obelisk was destroyed by lightning on 7/7.
The vegan city.
Yeah, vegan city. It's you seen it? It was the day after the Godstones.
Yeah. Okay.
It's spelled Vigan. It was an obelisk, and then it was struck by lightning the day after the Godstones were blown up and destroyed. Yeah, so Vegan City, very interesting name, an obelisk there. It's somewhere in South America. It was lightning struck it.
Yeah, Hunter's back in the news.
Yeah, his whatever, I don't know, his iCloud or
dad's in the news.
Yeah, something was hacked. So Hunter stuff. Yeah, we got to be careful with what we're saying here on YouTube because I already got 2 strikes. That's why.
Oh, whoopsie.
That's all right.
To me.
I don't think you said anything, but it is in the news. But yeah, I got 2 strikes, so my channel will get canceled if we say anything else. So that's why we're kind of going on a hiatus till September so that we can keep the channel up and running so people can see all the stuff.
So you have to talk
we've
code.
Already done.
That's always fun.
A little bit.
I can talk about Jill Bates' dad
Yeah, sure.
heading up the PP Enterprise. See, code is fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, I don't know if I can bring up that controversy that
You'll have to write it down.
Planned Parenthood. Yeah.
All right, it's fine just to say that. It just it got shut down, I guess. Or it is. They don't have
didn't
financing.
know. Yeah, I didn't know that that Jill Bates' father. I'm speaking in code still. Bill's
Gil
yeah,
Bates.
Whatever. Who cares? Anyway, sorry again.
That's all right. No worries. Yeah, so there's been a lot of stuff going on. So, and actually, the day before this all kicked off, God really put it on me to put out in the world on Twitter that things were about to pop off, and then boom, what do you know? I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just like, I was compelled to write what I wrote, and then things started coming to fruition. And I mean, things are just ramping up, and it's so weird because hey, what's really going on? It's been a while since we chatted.
It
Glad to
has.
see you here. So you can hop in. You're on a Patreon member, right? I think you should be able. If you go on Patreon, you'll be able to click on the link. It should be live on Patreon as well now. So you guys, if you're Patreon members, you can go over and hop in the conversation. I want to have some people hop in because that is part of the deal for the Patreon members. But anyway, so there's a ton of stuff happening in the world. All right, perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, so there's a ton of stuff happening in the world right now, and it's just getting started. And I think that the internet's going to really go down soon. I really do think that. I feel God's calling me away from the internet for a reason, to have other things already established and ready to go, so that it's an easy transition for us. Because it's not going to be an easy transition that we go from all of a sudden we feel like we're in the Stone Age or something. I walk
And we're
in.
gonna have to lead our children because our
Yeah.
children have no clue, like, about newspapers and landlines.
Yeah, and when I walk in from work today, after it was a crazy long week of work and softball for me, and Mimi's watching the Flintstones. And it's like, oh, you're back in the Stone Age. Like that's
I was trying to keep the baby happy. Wasn't
it's,
working.
it is what it is. I mean, it's just signs from God of what's happening. There's so many different things. Like usually for my job, I just stay local and I don't go like outside of a half hour radius. Like I drive like 30 minutes one way or this way. It's not too far of a drive. Well, this week I drove 4 hours twice, 4 hours away from my job twice. Uh, I drove 3 hours away two different times, and I drove 2+ hours away once. That's all 5 days. I drove way more than I have the entire time I've been working here, which signifies to me that God is going all over the map right now. And in what's happening elsewhere in my life was that a lot of people joined up in the softball organization that I play for. We got a lot of new members. So I feel like these things are all happening all at once. So the outreach is happening. God is really reaching out to people. And what I feel is very much on our doorstep is the next covenant with God. Moses made a covenant, Abraham made a covenant, Jacob made a covenant, Jesus made a covenant. And I feel like we're at the very next covenant, that this is like the contract that we're about to sign with God. We're about to say, these are the rules that we're going to live by. And if we don't, then you can kick us out. That's very much on our doorstep. Like it's like God is like at the door about to knock. Like it is right here. I can feel it. And I just see it with what's happening in my life, that is the next logical step, that the covenant is here. So I think that we should all really be prepared for what is going to come next. So let's say, what else crazy was going on this week, Mimi? Because I know you had a very hectic week as well with the baby. Our son-in-law, he was just deployed. So he's over in Europe at the moment. So it was for like a month long. They were waffling about when he was going to get deployed, saying
Yeah,
he
it was
might.
delayed for the birth of the baby. So
Right. So he had the 45 days for that, but then for the next month, or even more, 5 weeks maybe it might have been, that they kept saying, "Oh, you're going to get deployed," but he didn't, and then he finally did.
we have a flight, but it's not funded. You're
Yes.
gonna have to fund your own flight.
Yeah.
We'll pay you back later.
Yeah, a lot
That's
of
our military. But we can give other people tons of money.
Yeah.
And tons of baby formula and tons of food.
Yeah.
And tons of oil.
Yeah, I know. That's wild too.
But not like, communication or airplane tickets for our military members.
Yeah, Mimi's frustrated with what happened.
I'm
with
frustrated with all
military.
military things at the moment. Insurance.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah, well, the military is, I mean, people that join it, they're doing it for the most part. Well, some people are just doing it for the benefits. We know someone who did that. But people, for the most part, they want to help out. And that isn't a bad thing that people want to help, but it's just that you're now
Most
giving.
people join the military for the benefits, not to help out.
Okay, well, I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt here. But in doing it, you sign your life over to an entity that is going to take care of you. That's
Your
what
whole
Satan
body
is all
you sign
about.
over,
Yeah, that they can do whatever. There's crazy stuff that I can't even mention on here because we will get banned.
Well, that is another thing that happened last week. I saw that like the not the Marines, what's the other one? The National Guard booted some people that didn't get
don't
the
say the word. Right. And
get inoculated.
And Germany just put out something that they aren't going to have enough pilots to fly their planes because they're not fit to fly.
Yeah, now they're unfit to fly.
That's wild times that we're in.
It's a clown world.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. But it's
more than ever now. Like I thought, like last year was like clown world year. No, it's like ramping up so much.
Yeah, well, and
everything is ass backwards.
Yeah, and Conspiracy R Us put out 2 videos today, which is surprising. He does one every few weeks or so. But he put out 2 videos today, and he put out the Nephilim Look Like Clowns Part 6 today. So talk about clown world. There's so much stuff with the Nephilim are clowns, and they look like humans. Like the best way I can describe it is that they are the Men in Black phenomena. That they, if anyone ever looked into the Men in Black phenomena, that these people, they appear to be human, but there's stuff just not right with them. That they're like moving weird. They seem to be like kind of shapeless with their motions, and there's always things that are off. And I feel that's the demon that just entered into this mannequin, essentially, this physical living mannequin. And now it's like these demons are watching us, and they kind of know how we interact, but to actually be doing the interacting is very different. So it's a weird thing. So go check out Conspiracy RS if you guys aren't familiar with that. All right, so what's really going on? He said, got silver, or do you not put any energy into quote unquote money? Economy going south quick. So I actually invested money into precious metals right before, it was 2 days before the I'm sorry, no. So I bought a new car 2 days before the shutdown happened, and then before that, like a month before that, I actually invested a few $1,000s into precious metals. Yeah, so I've been sitting on that for a little while, just in case, because first off, crypto is nonsense. Second off, the reason why you would want to have precious metals is because you need something to barter with.
Right.
It's and something people value. People will still value paper money once the internet goes down. What's your thoughts, Mimi?
My energy has gone into gardening, really, like food and food preservation, food growing, food storing, food. I'm just like filling myself with as much knowledge as possible hands-on and through books and courses that fellow podcasters are putting out, and all of that. And why I'm doing that is another thing that frustrated me today. I paid $10 for a watermelon. Like one watermelon was $10. And it just made me think of my kids that are like working for minimum wage, about to move out. I'm like, they're going to have to work, at least an hour and a half to make $10, or maybe an hour. And they have to decide between, a watermelon or a piece of meat, or, everything's getting so expensive. So I'm putting a lot of my energy into food and food preservation right now. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and knowledge.
And knowledge.
I mean, look at all these books back here. That I mean, Mimi got me that
fermentation. Thanks to Lanny.
Lanny, Chudex's wife, Lanny.
She's got a lot of great classes coming up for preserving and making fermented foods and canning, and I'm trying to take all of them.
Yeah.
So I can be in the up and up, and then I gotta splurge for supplies.
Speaking of them, I'm going to be on Deborah Gets Red Pilled next weekend. They invited me to come back. Maybe it's 2 weeks from now.
Hey.
All right, we got Nomad in the house. What up, Nomad?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah.
Doing good, thank you.
Long time since you've been on the show, so glad to have you here.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back in the saddle. Been kind of just focusing on family and stuff lately, but
yeah, so you just dropped an album. We just listened to it. No, it's fine.
Oh yeah. I just dropped an album on my Patreon, or you can also find it on my website if you sign up there, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Yeah, we listened to it as soon as I got because I'm a Patreon member of yours. So as soon as it dropped, I got the notification. We threw it on. We were just hanging out, messing on the computer, putting together something for another thing that I'm doing, and and we listened to it. All right, so I just want to get this comment real quick. What's really going on? He said, "Do you know what Theta is?" He said, "Theta, the crypto." So no, I'm not familiar with crypto. Like I said, I'm not
me either.
into it. Whoever's watching on Facebook, comment so I know who it is, because if it's because I just want to know who's watching
I don't
on
have my
Facebook.
phone
And
with
on YouTube, go ahead and comment your name and where you're from if you guys are watching. It's been a while, so let me know who's watching. But go ahead, Nomad.
Was Theta the video one? I don't know. There's been so many.
There you go.
Keep track of them all.
Oh, it's Brianna.
Yeah, so our daughter is watching on Facebook. That's I thought it was either her or Paul. But so Theta, what's really going on? He says decentralized video content, decentralized broadband solution, much needed utility, tons of patents. So you know about that, Nomad?
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. I think a few years ago, but I haven't kept up with it. So I'd be interested to see what they're doing lately. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, comment if you know what they've been up to lately. I'd love to get an update.
Yeah, so let us know what's going on with that. I think the internet's just going to go down. I think there's going to be like internet people are going to get something put inside of them, and we got to be careful with how we talk here, but something's going to be inside of them somewhere, and that's going to be the only internet. That's going to be the only choice there that we have. So what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I could see something like that happening eventually where, although, I mean, I feel like if it was to happen, it would be with Elon, right? With Starlink. And he's pretty good about phrasing things and positioning things in ways where it is truly people's choice.
And such a friendly way.
That's and I'm not saying he's like an antichrist or anything like that, but like that is kind of the motif that you usually hear about in those kind of lores. It's more about the choice, I think. So I don't know. We'll see. I could definitely see that. I also think that they have to be careful about freaking everybody out with this stuff, because if they freak everyone out with the technology stuff, then everyone will rebel against it. So that's why I'm a little bit more. I'm not sure if I buy into the whole internet going out thing, but it definitely could. Who knows?
They present it to the younger folks first, and how cool it is to be able to do this, that, and the other, and the older people are like, hell no. We don't want to do all that.
Well, it's so interesting that so Canada, half their internet went down for I don't know some time. It was maybe it was a full day, maybe it was a few days. I don't know the exact time frame there, but it went down. And now a lot of people don't know this, but CERN is not the only large hadron collider in the world. It's actually there's several
Yeah.
of them. So the one is in South Dakota, actually.
Chills.
And the day that they turned it on, the sky turned green in South Dakota, and the next day the internet went down, or maybe it was 2 days later, the internet went down in Canada. I mean, it's not coinky dink that all happened.
If the internet went down for one whole day here in the the entire United States, people would lose their minds.
Yeah,
Lose their minds.
I wonder if anyone, maybe you guys know, have you heard if, because here's what I see happening already is that internet and stuff is becoming precarious in certain countries and stuff in territories. And so Elon Musk is coming in, saving the day, saying, here's Starlink. So Putin can't control you or whoever.
Yeah.
So I could see him coming to Canada and saying, "Oh, you're having internet problems? Here you go. We'll help out." You know, it's
All right.
one by one, every country, every
right. The internet has to
company.
change.
Well, he did. He started to do that in areas that aren't used to having any internet service at all. And he's like, "Oh, look, now you have it. You can have it anywhere."
Well,
Yep.
and
I
the
could-
whole. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I could maybe see like a situation where it's accessible to everybody and like everybody could be on it, and then they kind of wipe out the old internet. So it's
Yeah.
Would
I
that
could
be
see
how
that,
like
but I think it would
blockchain
be-
begins?
Something to that effect.
Ugh.
Well, so 99% of the internet is actually underwater cables.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Satellites are nonsense. They're just there to trick you and confuse you. They're not doing anything. They're on there. Actually, it's very fascinating. They're held up by helium balloons. It's
Show
very,
you
very
pictures of
fascinating. That's is the
countertops.
biggest consumer of helium in the world by far. It's incredible. And when satellites have fallen, people have found huge helium balloons attached with it, and it's actually mainstream that uh, of how large these balloons were back in like the 80s and 90s when they were first coming out with this quote unquote technology of helium balloons. It was big news, and you can find clips of it still. It's very, very fascinating.
And the Hindenburg or whatever was a psyop to scare everyone away.
The Lindenberg, oh yeah, the one that exploded.
Mm.
Yeah.
Everyone's
the
scared
Hindenburg,
to have those big balloons now, right?
Right. And they used to have those planes, those huge planes. What are they
The
called?
blimps?
No. Like the Condors or something like that. That they were huge. That it was different than the plane that we have now. It would fly lower, and you would have a lot more people on it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
forget.
sure, but I think I know what you're talking about though. I've seen
Yeah.
those bigger like cargo looking planes.
Yeah.
I remember when they were talking about like double-decker planes. We're going to be like the next coolest thing.
Like, think about how they even made maps, like cartographers. How would you make a map of a country, like the layout of a country, by being in a boat? You have no idea how it looks. Like you're just in a boat. How are you going to get an accurate depiction? You have to go into the sky in order to do so. So
yeah,
I
like trying to measure that. How are you?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a thought. Yeah, and there's no, what do you call
by
it?
cavemen,
Drones or
essentially.
anything, So it's like,
Yeah.
how did you do that? There's no
Right.
flying cameras at that time. Maybe
Super-
sent up with helium. Who
Right.
knows?
It's super weird, yeah. Because even
Yeah.
even from, I feel like even from the air, it would be hard to like measure that. I mean, I'm sure they had ways, but to get an accurate depiction from that large of a distance.
Yeah, and then you follow certain people on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, that they somehow they're finding all these old technologies from the 1800s that they present, and I mean, there's so many weird things, so many weird inventions that
I
we
never
had
really
in the
thought about
1800s.
how cartographers measured things back in the day.
Yeah, well,
Never
because they
even
used
thought
to
about
fly.
it.
They used to fly. I know that for sure. But
Have you seen that old computer-looking device that they've supposedly found? Actually, I remember seeing something about, and I think that helped them with something to do with tracking on the
Not
ship.
sure.
But
Yeah, well, I'm sure they had a lot of different information. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of weird stuff. But what I was getting at was, I think that those underwater cables, that internet is going kaplunk for one reason or another. And this Starlink, it's going to be like this internal internet is going to be what is there, and it's going to be in our sky, actually, like for the first time ever. uh, that there's going to be something like shooting down these beams, and they're not going to be pulling it from the earth. However they're pulling energy from the earth is not going to be, it's not effective for them anymore, because God's essentially cutting them off from it. I don't know how they're doing it, but that's what they're doing for our energy.
Water and dish soap.
Yeah, that's weird. And milk.
Yeah, and milk.
Yeah, milk and dish soap and a battery. Yeah, that's a weird
And a light
phenomena.
bulb. Yeah.
But so the other conspiracy RS, I mentioned him earlier. The other conspiracy RS video he brought up was about the Oregon Trail. So that's the other one he did today. And there's these different it's not just the Oregon Trail, that's just what it's called, but there's these different trails all over the world that just have these weird lines within bedrock, within, and they say that it was the iron from the carriages that were being drawn by the horses, but it's actually like rock that these lines are in, that it does look like a cart was, went
Drove
over it
down
so often that that would happen. But obviously it's not what happened. There's no way that an iron cart could do that to rock. So what I thought as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's electricity. That's some kind of electrical lines." Because sometimes it's like two, like a cart wheel, like the outlines of wheels from a cart that caused it. But other times it's completely flattened, and it's just like there's walls up here, and then there's like a little valley or an alley that you're walking through, and like, to me, I'm like, "Oh, that's some kind of electrical
like
discharge."
a train type
Yeah, yeah, something that,
divot.
yeah.
Mm.
So I'm like, "That's just an electrical discharge." Maybe it was some kind of train, electrical train. I don't know, steam powered. Who knows what was going on back then?
Mm.
There's
or
so
even
many
if it
crazy things.
even if it was more traditional tracks, maybe it was emulsified somehow
Yeah, where they just
through
pulled
some
it up.
event. Yeah, through some event, like we've talked about, that whether it was like something like the Carrington event, or
Yeah.
something that struck it kind of like electrified it or something.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's weird. They say that it was 1869 the Oregon Trail was done. It was no more because the what's it called, railroad system had been, I forget what it was called at the time, but it had been completed at that time, 1869, 100 years before they went to the moon. You know, but they didn't go to the moon. But when they tell us they went to the moon,
Did they go into it all? That I don't even know really the history of the Oregon Trail. Like, how was
I
it
don't know too
started?
I'm
much.
How was
trying
it
to remember
started?
too. The only
I don't
thing I
know.
Playing the
remember,
video game. I
Yeah,
just
me
remember trying
too.
to avoid the contagion or whatever.
right? Avoid getting dysentery while
Yeah.
you're in your
Yeah.
little cart wagon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
don't
would be
know.
interested to see if maybe there was already pre-established route. That's kind of what we're talking about here, right?
Right. Yeah, so he didn't
would
get
assume.
into the whole history of it. He was just like pointing out, like, I love what Conspiracy RS does, because he points out, he'll take some aspect of the weird history, and he'll bring up an aspect that nobody else will ever mention, and you'll only ever hear it on his, because he does such great work. I mean, he's one of my favorite YouTube channels to go watch, because he does such phenomenal stuff. So he didn't touch on the whole thing, but I'm sure that you could find someone out there that has done some kind of work on the Oregon Trail. It's one of those things, like, with how consciousness works and how God just answers your prayers for you before you even ask. It's like everything already exists. You just have to ask the question, and then you'll find someone somewhere has already done some work into it, and then you'll just add on to that when you start doing your work.
It's researching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Searching
Yeah.
again.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephen Mosaic commented, Gilbert, Arizona. I guess that's where he's from. And this was, I guess, according to Theta. He said 113% today. Last time I checked. So
I'm in
there
it
you
for
go.
the tech, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So what's really going on? He said, I guess this is to the internet being knocked out. Could be a natural solar flare that takes it out among many other man-made weapons. That's very true. It could definitely be
Yeah,
that.
there was a little conspiracy theory going that maybe it was a dude that destroyed the guide stones.
Oh no,
Not some little black figure running and running.
no, it was definitely that.
You think?
Yeah,
I don't
because it
know.
was barely blown up. That was definitely a little man-made bomb or whatever.
Well, didn't
I
it
don't know.
happen? You know, so
It was the top though, so it's like, how could it reach the top?
Because it's
You throw it up there and run.
The top happened because it was the one pillar broke, and in
Mhm.
doing that, it displaced the weight. So then you could see
Right?
that,
Didn't it break at the toward the top of the stone though?
but that is what would happen if you were to like blow up this part right here. You see
Mhm.
this part of the desk?
Mhm.
Then right here, this part would then just naturally fall down with it, even though it's a separate structure.
I remember watching the towers fall from the top down.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know.
But that was no.
And that was
That was legit.
That's
What?
not a good example because that would be it was blown up from the bottom anyway.
Oh, sorry. Stephen was referring to the temperature as 113 in
Oh geez. That's
Gilbert, Arizona. He meant
close to
hit
us,
the grade
but
button, not percentage.
we're not at 113.
Yeah, we're in the 90s typically.
Yeah,
yeah,
with the
no,
real
thanks for
feels.
reminding me of Theta. I'll have to check it out and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Do they have like workable, like you can go on and upload videos and stuff like that yet?
I don't know. What's really going on? He was our man with Theta, so let's say if he's. I don't know if he's still watching. If he has any comment about what's going on with that.
Engage a bit on that while we keep chatting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the whole Guidestone thing. Well, I know about the Guidestones, but not the events. But didn't it happen on a specific date?
7/6.
7/6. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and actually, so the area code for Alberton is 706. And the other, so there's two of them, and the other one is 762. That's the two area codes. So what happened 2 days after 7/6 was Shinzo Abe was assassinated. So you got 706 and then 762.
Was there any other significance to that date that you know?
Oh, there's so much to it.
Yeah, there was a ton.
It was George Bush's 76th birthday on 7/6. So the Guidestones were created. They were erected, not created. They were erected on 3/22, which is Skull and Bones is 3/22. George Bush, part of Yale's Skull and Bones, 3/22. His 76th birthday. The next day on 7/7, which it happened on Route 77 at the mile marker 17.72, which is actually there's a crossroad, Route 17/Route 72. The two of them are the one road that go through Elberton that intersect Route 77, and that's the mile marker that the Guidestones were at. Were 17.72. Very fascinating with all the numerology. So on 7/7, it was Jimmy Carter's 76th anniversary with his wife. Jimmy Carter being a president, the oldest living president, being from Georgia, still lives in Georgia, actually was visiting our friend Dan the Manifester, his farm, on his 76th anniversary. I mean, he was, I think, episode 40 or 39, something like that. He was on a round table as well. So, I mean, just weird stuff happening.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Him wearing that shirt. That was weird.
Oh, question the answers. What up, dude? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, know a lot about that date. And what were you doing last time you were there at the Georgia Guidestones?
We were there on, we were there July 4th.
Yeah, we left.
Maybe even
we left on the 4th. No, we left on the 4th.
Okay. Like
So
the second to the fourth.
we were there
something?
at sunrise on 4th of July, and when I was there, it just hit me. It was like, you're the only two people in the world that are here right now
Yeah.
at this time. It's like a significant holiday, for Americans. It's a famous place. It was such a beautiful morning. We were there at sunset on the 2nd, 7/2, and then on 7/4 we were there at sunrise. And some white people that were Spanish speaking, they rolled up in some van that had no windows. It was one of those tall, like, Sprinter vans. They rolled up, took a few pictures, were speaking in Spanish while I was meditating, and then they rolled out. It was just like boom, boom, in and out. It was a weird scene, but it was so awesome, and it was just 1 year prior, and that's when I was really being into being psychic and all the energy.
Meditating every day.
Right. And I had a bunch of people. I was like, send me your energy. I'm going to consume it here. And I did. And there was a weird thing with the bikers. And anybody watch episode or go listen to episode 28. And also bonus episode number 4 with Mimi and I, where we got
Bro,
into all
do you
the
just
details.
pull these numbers out of like?
That's what I think all the time.
Every time
how
I'm
do
like,
you
how
even
do
know?
you remember what episode this is? I swear he's just making it up. He doesn't think anyone actually knows. Or
I
something.
just
It's
remember.
just
Nope, because you
making
can
up
go fact
numbers.
check
Yeah,
them, and it's
35.
correct. It happens all the time. I don't remember anything, and he was like, "Don't you remember this day at this time?" And I'm like, "No." Nope.
Yeah, I just
Sorry to cut
remember.
you off, but I just
No,
had
And
to.
he's like, "Do
fine.
you remember
Had
what
to
episode so and so
confirm
is
there.
on?" He'll be like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "Okay, thanks."
I just remember things. That's all. I don't know. I have like
I'm
everything
with you
just
on that.
organized
No
in my
matter.
brain, so it just pops.
Little filing cabinet up there. It's got
Yeah.
like one of those old school library things. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So
Card catalog.
I had all those people like sending me energy, and I did so much weird research into the Georgia Guidestones before we went. Firstly, I am so glad that we went before they were destroyed. It was
Well, that's
one
what
of the
I'm
best trips
wondering.
we
That's
ever
why I
went
brought
on.
it up, because I'm wondering, like, maybe you psychically set something off.
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
that's
like-
exactly, so when I posted what I posted on Twitter on 7/5, the day before it happened, that you guys aren't ready, God told me that you guys aren't ready for what's about to happen. The next part isn't for the faint of heart. And that was the day that CERN turned on again. And then that's when you had the green skies in South Dakota. The internet went down in Canada. So many different things happened. Vegan City had their obelisk was struck by lightning.
Oh.
So many weird things started happening the day after 7/5, and still, I mean, there's so
And the
many things
year
that
prior,
happened
right?
this week. Yeah, so the 7/4 is when we came back, but yeah, it was. So there's this weird thing where Native Americans, they call that, so it's like 2 or 3 miles over. They call it the center of the world. Now, mainstream history says, oh, it was the Native Americans from Florida would meet the Native Americans from the Northeast there, and that was the center point. And it's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But when you look into what I think it's the Sunni Muslims, they have a theory that when the poles shift, next time that they shift, that Georgia is going to be the center of the world, and that the Freemasonic Antichrist would destroy the Guidestones just before the apocalypse. That is and this is something that's not in America.
That's interesting because, again, I don't mean to keep bringing up Elon, but I was thinking this all happened right around like 7-Eleven. He was posting all this 7-Eleven stuff, and I think
I got
7-Eleven
something
was
for you.
National like Population Day or something.
Yeah, World Population
And he's like
Day.
he's like the kind of the anti-culture figure kind of guy, saying, like, we don't need to worry about
Birth rates
population.
are too low.
It's the opposite, right? And so that was the first thing that went through my mind when this all happened. I was like, he's making a big focus on this recently, and then the biggest symbol for sort of population control gets destroyed.
Well, here's something for you. You want to bring up 7-Eleven. So I just finished Leviticus. Now I'm on Numbers for my morning read. So I'm just going through the Bible, 2 chapters each morning. Actually, one morning I did one because it was super long. So I've been doing this now for the whole New Testament, and I started the Old Testament, so it's not like I know when anything's going to happen. So on 7:10, or no, it was on 7:11. I read. Let me pull it up. It's Leviticus. Hold on a second. Mimi, go ahead and talk for a minute. Let me pull this up.
Well, I wanted to kind of go back to Elon, but then also go to Facebook and good old LifeLog. You know how they say history repeats itself. Well, before LifeLog nuked my entire account at the beginning of the pandemic, I would notice that every year I would be, doing the same thing in a slightly different way. Maybe I ate the same at the same restaurant, or I saw the same friend, or I went on the same vacation to the same place or something. And it would always be very close to the time. And it's strange that he brings up, the year before that we were at the Guidestones, and then the current year something happens, but it does kind of fit with what he thought about the year prior. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I was talking
history
about it.
repeats itself. And
History doesn't repeat itself; it rhymes. That's what I hear.
Oh,
that's a good one.
So when I was off air, so Mimi wasn't even joining me on interviews yet. I was off air with Amy Belair right before we went to the Guidestones, and I was talking to her about the research that I did on the Guidestones. And I said to her, I was like, there's so many things lining up that it feels very strange that I'm going there at this time, because I'm having people send me all this energy and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, you don't give off the feeling of an antichrist. And I was like, no, like I don't feel like that either. But it was just like so weird. And it was because of what I was saying with the Sunni Muslims, but it's then destroyed a year later. Justin, what up, dude?
Hey.
So
right, we got lots of goodies.
Yeah, so it's destroyed a year later, and the Sunni Muslims said that the Freemasonic Antichrist would destroy it. So, and we just listed all those things with George W. Bush and the Skull and Bones, 322, all that different stuff. So
I wouldn't be shocked. What episode was Justin on? I wouldn't be shocked if it was the same time this last year.
No, it wasn't this time. Not yet. That was episode 96. So, okay. So, like I was saying, on 7-Eleven, Jacob Israel. So prior to that, YouTube guy Jacob Israel, suggests everyone get familiar with him. He knows his stuff. He was tweeting about 7-Eleven. He was making videos about 7-Eleven, Elon Musk and 7-Eleven. All the different weird things that connect with that. Okay, and he used to be a writer for wrestling, and all politics is pro wrestling, life is pro wrestling.
Do you know that I was talking to my son about 7-Eleven?
Of course you were.
Of course I was.
Okay,
I was gonna work there.
Okay, so anyway, on 7-Eleven, I'm having my morning Bible read. During my morning Bible read, I get a notification that the day before, Jacob Israel made a video, and it was about 7-Eleven. Now, in my morning Bible read, it was Leviticus 23, chapter 20. Well, I was just on chapter 23, verse 27. I'm about to read it to you. The 10th day of the 7th month is the day of atonement. Hold a sacred assembly and deny yourselves and present an offering made to the Lord by fire. Do no work on that day, because it is the day of atonement, when atonement is made for you before the Lord your God. So 2 different times in Leviticus, it mentions the 10th day of the 7th month. So when we look at our calendar, sept, S-E-P-T, actually means 7. Oct means 8. Nov means 9.
Yeah,
Des
all the months
means
are
10.
off.
Yes, they're all off. So
October 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the 8th month. Yeah.
So if we take the 10th day of the 7th month as atonement, then the 11th day of the 7th month, 7-Eleven, would be the start of something new, which is Jesus' birthday, September 11th. The birth of Christ. It would start new. Ethiopia's calendar starts new on September 11th. Like all these things start tying in, and then you have September 11th, 2001. What was that? That was a start of something new, right? That was there's this crazy thing that just popped in my head the other day as I'm doing research about, not necessarily research, just things that come to me about the number 8, the infinity loop. You start doing any time travel or weird things with time, you start looking into that, and 8s start popping up everywhere. You look into Donald Trump being the Antichrist, 8s are everywhere. His number to text last year was 88022. So there's these 8s, and there's this guy on Twitter, Donnie Darkened. I suggest everyone go follow him and check out some of his threads. A lot of cool stuff on there. So there's all the stuff with 8s, right? And then in one of his threads, it said 888 plus 888 equals 1776. And then the thought just hit me this morning that I tweeted out. Like, what if there's 2 different timelines merged right at the year 2000, Y2K? What if that was some kind of merging of 1,000 years of peace and 1,000 years of hell, and then it surfaced that we merged, and the Mandela effect starts taking place in like 1980-ish because it starts getting close, and then the merge happens for a full 20 years from Y2K but Y2K wouldn't start until September 11th, 2001, because that would be the actual new year, right? So that happens up until the end of the Mayan calendar, December 21st, 2012, which to us is December 31st, 2019. Our December 31st, 2019 was Ethiopia's December 21st, 2012. And that's the end of the Mayan calendar, is December 21st, 2012. So is that then the splitting of heaven and hell, the people, which someone commented on an Instagram post and said that Josh Peck and Tom Horn, great authors who I have plenty of their books over here. They have done research into the Qumran. Their end times prophecy says that heaven and hell, the people of heaven and hell, will be split on a vibrational pattern that they will vibrate away with who they're supposed to go with. This is all crazy.
Yeah, bro. I think
but
that's
it all
happening.
links.
No, I think that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible talks about, literally separating, like, exactly that. You know, it's like the weeds and the flowers grow together,
the wheat and the chaff,
and the chaff, and then they separate. Yeah. And that's exactly, I think you're right. That's probably what's happening, because it seems like you do have these two groups that are both wanting to bring on the end of the world, right? It's like you have one group that's kind of like thinking, you know, they both think it's a good thing, but obviously one group has,
they think that they're in control of it.
Well, it reminds me of,
but they both want the same thing. We both want to live in those separate worlds. So it's almost like this is divine, you know, planning or whatever. But this seems like, that's what's going to happen. We're probably just going to separate. You can already see it. Everybody's living in their own reality, their own choose your own adventure. What you believe is pretty much what.
And you have enough information to buy into it too.
Yeah.
Because there's so much disinformation and true information out there that you can believe anything. It's Satan's short season. It's the time of deception.
And it'll be even stronger as we get closer to like the metaverse and stuff.
Yeah. That's going to be real crazy.
I almost think the opposite, where you think that people are trying to end the world. It reminds me of all those movies we had watched back then where they were trying to go back and fix something of the past to avoid the end of the earth. You know?
What's that show you watched? Umbrella Academy?
Oh, yeah. There's so many that we watched, so many movies that were all like time
dark.
movies. Yeah.
Dark's a good one.
And Brianna made a comment too.
I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We'll get to the comments.
I was just gonna say, not so much bring the end of the world, but the you know, like the end of the cycle or whatever. Like they're all of these people that were like summoning ghosts and stuff. Like, was it John Dee, I think, and Crowley and stuff. they're all trying to bring in, like, summon the Antichrist, like bring in that age, because that's kind of in their mind what's supposed to happen. But
Yeah.
it's just, they have a different mentality of how it will turn out than like the Protestant Christians.
They think that they're in control of it. They think that they're
Right.
doing this outside of God's will.
Exactly.
Because God's allowing them to do it because that's what they're supposed to do. They just don't understand that. So, all right. So we'll get to Brianna's in a moment here, but question the answers. He wrote a couple nice comments here. He said, "Did y'all know the RC Christian anagram? I've seen literally no one else talk about, so I made a quick video. Check it out if y'all have time. Basically, RC Christian, a pseudonym, is misspelled, is a perfect anagram for untarnished conspiracy, letter for letter." All right, that's interesting. And I saw the guy that sells those glasses that we got, not the ones that actually work, but those ones, Museum for Tarot, that I wasted $200 on.
Wait, were those the ones that you're supposed to like see spirits or something?
Yeah,
Supposed to see auras and things.
I mean, they work.
Because I
posted
remember
some
asking you, I
pictures.
was like, can you do like a comparison, like look at the same things with like the same lighting and see if their auras match or not?
I mean, it's something you have to train your eyes. So it's not that they don't work. It's just,
Yeah, I didn't see much of anything.
Yeah, it's something you have to. It's whatever.
It would say it wasn't for you.
Yeah, sure. It's not for me. But so he did a really great breakdown on actually the guy who he thinks was RC Christian, expanding reality on Instagram. He reposted it or whatever. I don't know. It's a 5-minute video. It's on TikTok somewhere. It's actually a good breakdown, but they're saying like, oh, he's not satanic. He's just a doctor from Kansas. And this and that. He does a really good breakdown of who the guy was, and there's actually a documentary called Dark Clouds over Elberton that talks about who the guy was that probably was RC Christian. And so there's two things I wanted to get out real quick that are complete psyops that I see people falling for. The Pfizer CEO didn't say he's
rebuilding.
6 months, 6 weeks, and 6 days later on 2/23/2023. That's fake news completely. And also, they did not open the time capsule. There was nothing in there.
I don't think there ever was one.
There was nothing in there. I searched for it when I was meditating on it on the 4th of July. It was empty. It was completely empty.
And even the stone shows that there's no date that it was filled or when
to be opened.
To be open. So I don't think it was ever put in yet. I think I'm
bombing the time capsule.
I think that they are going to actually fill it soon with, and make it like some sort of memorial. That's what I really like. They put it there in advance, and then they're going to use it as a memorial of some sort. I really think that
they did remove it.
That was my first thought when this happened. Was like, oh, they're just going to use it now.
That's a good idea. Mm-hmm. All right, so and then Brianna, our daughter, she said, "You're making me think of the new Doctor Strange Infinity Loop, where timelines merge and can be changed when people mess with them from different timelines." Yes, this is something that I've talked about before, that they create trauma. It's trauma-based mind control. They create a trauma situation so that you'll fall into the predicted pattern behavior, so then they can make you do something to split off a timeline. But once you resist from doing that urge, then you take back control and you stop splitting yourself. You stop fracturing yourself. This is in a lot of different movies. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once does a great job of explaining this as well. We haven't seen the Doctor Strange one just yet, but Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a really good representation of this as well.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's manufactured consent, right?
Because they know what you're going to do. They program you to react, and they already have it set up for you to react. So they're going to manipulate things, events. I'm not sure exactly what the manipulation is going to be, but they manipulate things in your general vicinity that then create you to have a predictable reaction. So they're always in control of how you're going to react.
And all of our cell phones and
And that's why you need Jesus.
predictive text and the ads that show up on your social media because they hear you say, cat litter, then you have like 10 cat litter ads. They are tracking how people respond, all people.
And
and we're allowing it.
And I'll say this, that the reason why I've felt this way for a while, and I still do feel this way, is that why I've been kept from certain shows, and why they'll interact with me in private, and they'll be buddy buddy with me, but they'll keep me at arm's length, is because I'm unpredictable. They don't know what I'm going to say or when I'm going to say, because I'll challenge anybody and I'll do it in a respectable way or anything like that, but I'm not predictable. And that's what I was just saying. Why you need Jesus is because Jesus was not predictable. They did not know. They were trying to get him in gotchas all the time, and he found a different way all the time. Every single time he got them, and he just drew them into what he wanted them to do so that he could do. So when you give yourself, when every single time something occurs and you look to Jesus for guidance, Jesus is going to move you in a way that it's just impossible for anyone to ever predict or do anything about. So, and when every aspect of yourself, all those fractured natures of yourself are all doing one thing all at the same time, which is turning to Jesus, then all of a sudden you're complete and there is no fracture, because every version of you is doing the same exact thing. And there's only one thing that every version of you could possibly do, is observe Jesus Christ as God. And in doing that, everything else will just fall in line and you'll be in control, and they won't let you go on bigger shows because they can't control you.
Amen.
Yeah. That's how things typically go when they allow people, they'll string people along, materialistic people who are looking for something, they'll string them along, and then once that person gets to a certain point and gets close enough to Christ, they'll offer them something, and the people don't know that they're being offered it in the moment. But then if they take that offer, then all of a sudden they're on a different path, different trajectory, and they reject Jesus. But that's not something that I ever did. So I was left out of the loop long ago.
You don't want to be stuck in a loop, bro.
Yeah, no, you don't. Yeah.
No, you don't.
Jesus is the way to get out of those loops. Yeah, so anyway, that was just interesting. So anything else going on? We've been on here for almost an hour now. So anyone got any comments? I see people keep coming in and out. So you guys can comment something that you guys want to hear us talk about. We got into the guidestones a bit. So if you are live now and you haven't seen that, go back and check out some of the stuff we talked about with the guidestones. There's a lot of stuff that you guys got to understand about the guidestones. And just to be clear, I don't think that the message on the guidestones was a satanic 10 commandments. That is not my belief. I think that they're actually what I thought that they were, what I still think that they were, is that when the coming event happens, that they were the new rules that people should live by. But I don't agree with the under 500 million. I don't really care how many people there are in the world. There's plenty of space for everybody. But the other rules, they were actually good rules, the other 9. So
you don't even really know how. Go ahead.
Sorry, I think it's the Luciferian more, if anything. So the way I see it is they have there's the evil entity that's like Satan, and then they have Lucifer that's like the good version essentially, but he's still the false light. Mm-hmm. And so to me, this is more of like the false light. Like it's meant to, like you said, maybe there's a catastrophe or something, and then all that's left are these stones or whatever. That's the new way to live. Or maybe, there is some hidden agenda to make that happen. Whatever the case is, whatever the theories are, I think that's more of the path that these would fall under versus the just more satanic route, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, after we went there, I reached out to several different people uh, about the guidestones, my thoughts on the guidestones, because there were, for whatever reason, it's just how things happen, that people were talking about it at the time, and there were several people who had large followings at the time, uh, were talking about the guidestones, and they're like, well, I think that if there's some kind of apocalyptic event, that we should all meet up at the guidestones. I heard 3 different people say that after I was talking, saying the things that I was saying. Maybe um, I influenced them. Maybe we talked. So, and then that's what their words were. And there are 3 people who don't know each other. Maybe they do know each other, but as far as I know, they didn't know each other. They're very different circles. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, these people, they get it. That you start to look at things in a different light, and you say, okay, they're trying to pump fear into, be afraid of what this is. This is satanic, be afraid. And then you see beyond that, and then you do other parallel research, like the Native Americans and the Muslims, and there's so many weird things. And then you go to the site. When you go there, like it's different doing research on a computer versus doing research in person.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world. You talk to locals and you get information that you're not going to get on the internet.
Even when we went on our other vacations to the parks, to St. Augustine, and to to the mountains where we went in the gorge, when you're seeing these things, all these things, these mountains, these rock formations, these things with new eyes,
and your own eyes, not the screen.
With the new knowledge that you have, it all just starts to make sense.
And your imagination, consciousness is all connected, right? So Mother Earth is connected. We're connected to Mother Earth, and like you just get this sense, this overwhelming sense of something like this is not just like a gorge when you're thinking about it. It's like God's showing you that there's more to it. Like, oh, there's a pyramid in this gorge. Like, that's not just a gorge.
Yeah, random.
Yeah. So doing in-person research is always the best. And Mimi and I, we went on some wonderful trips last year.
We need to do more of that.
Yeah,
well,
you notice so many more things, like the street names. Why are these street names so coincidental, that line up, that you would never really know?
Yeah, why does everybody have?
Yeah.
When you're online researching.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your Route 66
oh yeah,
trip.
That's crazy, with the Route 10 being being split into 2, and then Route 66 is 0.66 miles long, and it only has a cemetery and a Smithfield pork packing plant next to each other, and that's the only things on Route 666 in Virginia. It's just and 10 represents DNA, and so they're splitting the strand of DNA and they're entering in the 666. And then they're just taking the dead bodies and putting into the pork, and then you're just consuming humans, and when you eat pork, and pigs are already not what swine were in the Bible. Swine in the Bible were wild boars. And maybe there were some pigs at the time, but the pink pigs.
Well, don't they say though that, sorry to cut you off, but don't they say that the wild boars are essentially pigs that are just not domestic, or they're not domesticated? Like once we domesticate them, they look like what we know of pigs. But if you just
like
put
once
them
we
in the
mess
wild,
with their DNA,
they literally turn into the wild boars if they're just left in the wild for like.
Oh, I never heard that.
Weird.
But.
Yeah.
But their DNA it's human DNA, and wild boars make what we know as pigs. And the demons went into the swine, right? Jesus cast them out.
Do you think it is? That's what I'm saying though. Do you think it is DNA that's different between them, or do you think it's the same DNA, but that's how much of a difference you can make in creatures, right? Like the difference between.
I think it's different DNA. I think that they've had human DNA because they were growing a human baby inside of a pig. You can grow.
Well, yeah, I
human
don't
body
discount
parts.
that because I think they're the same. So I think you could do that with a wild boar too. Would be my theory. I don't know. I would look into it because I think I've heard something about that where the pigs are pretty much just domesticated.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean that's what they say about
Like wolf,
dogs
dog,
too, and cats,
tigers and cats.
but cats and dogs just appeared out of nowhere 10,000 years ago. The dogs don't come from wolves. That it's just nonsense when they say that. Like people don't come from monkeys, dogs don't come from wolves, and they don't even say what cats come from. They don't have an answer for it because it's just the fractal nature. Everything just got smaller. 10,000 years ago for whatever reason. 10,000 years ago, after the ice age, everything just got smaller. There was less oxygen in the air because whatever burned up in the atmosphere and then made it freezing cold, there was less oxygen. So then the cats, tigers, and
I think you're
lions.
taught that, like, from the saber-toothed tiger comes, the other tigers and the panthers and the jaguars, and then you get smaller and you have like your
No, but they're not
cougars
They're not
and your
related
cats.
like that.
I know that's what they tell you. It's
Right,
like
but
they're
that's
all the feline
but that's what
family.
cats are, just on the fractal nature. That
Mhm.
I mean, they're just amongst us, and they tell it. We don't think of it that way, but that's exactly
Right.
what it is. That they're just house cats that just don't live in the house. They just appeared on an island somewhere off of Egypt, and cats did. And they say dogs came from wolves that we domesticated. I don't think any of that's true. I don't think that animals change. Uh, you know, the theory of evolution is such nonsense. They say that people turned white because of weather, but we already have body hair, but we didn't grow more because of weather. Because I mean,
But
if it was cold,
Or
we wouldn't
less.
turn our skin color.
Yeah.
We'd grow more hair.
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Or
think we
less.
could have manipulated though, like the DNA kind of over the years of
Oh, we definitely
dogs?
manipulate DNA,
And so like what we know
but
of
not just
wolves,
by.
we kind of manipulated into dogs.
Okay, I see that.
And then manipulate into little teacup versions and
Yeah,
little,
Yeah, but
same with cats, like
Sure.
lions, and then we slowly manipulated,
But there's
and
so
that's-
many different kinds of dogs. That's the thing. That there's dogs are vastly different. You got a Chihuahua, you got a Great Dane, you got
have
a
you
Saint
seen the way we
Bernard.
mix animals and stuff? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. There's some kind of mixture for sure. But I think that they're probably some of these lowercase g gods that they're suffering, that they were put into, their consciousness was put into a lower animal than us because we are God's representatives and they are lower than God, and they had to be shown that humanity on earth is equivalent to God in heaven, that we have the authority. So, to that degree, we allow things, we're manipulated into it. So it's not the same thing because dimensionally speaking, they are above us, but them to God are what animals are to us. So I think God kind of placed their consciousness when they died to a degree. I don't know how it all exactly works, but something to that effect anyway.
I don't think they're above us in the sense of like importance on like a hierarchy level, but I think it's more of a responsibility. It's the same way I see the female and male. There's a lot in like the
Aspect.
Protestant Christian, or not even Protestant, just some certain more extremists. They'll say like women shouldn't even be teaching and things like that. To me, it's more about the spirit of it and how they go together, and I think it's less about physically speaking and things like that. And Jesus counterdicted that many times, sending females to go talk about him. So
Yeah, and there's a couple females that were actually on a podcast together talking about women shouldn't be teaching others, and I'm just like, you two are women. What are you talking
Who
about?
hosts a podcast telling us things.
Bono's a woman?
Bono?
Oh, sorry.
You said you two.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, maybe, who knows with all that trans stuff.
Latest conspiracy.
Yeah.
Can you read that comment over there? Because I got something to
Okay,
say
let's
about
see.
that.
Question the answers.
Yeah.
So question the answer said, I read that the sky used to be pink before the flood, and the flood changed the sky, and only after it changed due to the flood could we see the rainbow. All made so much sense. So one thing I'll say before, because obviously Mimi wants to comment about that,
I just have
is
a thought.
is that the color blue didn't exist before 200 years ago. Except for the Egyptians, they were the only ones that made anything out of blue. So if you go back in history, everyone described everything very differently in color. They would call the water like wine, or even like honey is how it was described by Plato. So things the color blue didn't exist until the 1800s. But go ahead, Mimi.
I was just thinking of the northern lights and how they are mostly green, and I've been seeing a lot of posts about the northern lights represent or could possibly be closest to, I guess, the closest heaven above the firmament. So I was thinking that whatever's above that, if it were pink, if it weren't separated, and it mixed with blue, it would give us the green in the middle there. So it'd be blue where we are, green where the northern lights are, and then maybe there is still something pink above that.
That's a good point. There are opposites on the color scale. Pink, bright pink, and bright green are the opposites, and in the middle is
pink
blue.
and blue would make a green. I mean, red and blue. I mean, what am I saying?
In the middle
Pink
of those two is blue. In the middle of pink and green.
Yeah. That's where I'm going. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. You got Mother Earth, and then if you had a pink sky, then in the middle would be blue. So
right.
That's interesting.
And there's how many heavens?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
Enoch or Paul. So you got 7 or 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7 or
But they could be describing the same thing, just seeing it differently.
I'm reading. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I'm more inclined to. I understand Enoch's version very well and how he describes things. So, not that he's right and Paul's wrong. I just think Paul's describing it differently, seeing the same thing, just describing it differently.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, if there were a crack that did the kind of flood that we were talking about, where if the firmament were cracked and then a flood came in that way. I don't know. I just got a whole lot going on up here right now.
It came up out of the ground too, the flood. It wasn't just rain.
That's how it used to rain, essentially. So it used to like all the plants and stuff used to get water from underneath, and then when it flooded, it was doing both. Is kind of how I understand it. So then you started to get rain from above. So that could have been the way that it seems to be described in the Bible, is almost like it was open, right? Or in the book of Enoch, maybe it was. So maybe it wasn't cracked. Maybe it was more of like a hatch or something that opens it up, and then that's when the waters come below,
Right. And when we talk about the Tower of Babel, I don't think it was the height. People get lost in reaching the cloud or the sky that way in the height. I think it was a portal to another dimension, to be able to just go in and out of this dimension as you please, that you could go to heaven. I don't know about heaven necessarily.
I got so many thoughts going on right now.
You could go and create all your own different realities, and it is the pyramids that were being used. And I think it's the Grand Canyon is there because that was the Tower of Babel got cut down by God. It's just not there anymore. God took it out. I think the whole thing was the base of this giant pyramid. Go ahead, Mimi, what you got?
I'm just, my brain is on working overtime.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of, you ever see that guy that posts a picture of the big jar, like the terrarium thing? It's like a whole living universe inside this big jar.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking that in order for it to rain from above, essentially, to make, you would have to close off, to take the moisture from underneath. It would have to be closed off at the top to create rain.
Greenhouse effect.
Right, greenhouse effect. So maybe a hole wasn't open, maybe a hole was closed.
Well, and the Liberty Bell's cracked. There's got to be significance with that the Liberty Bell was cracked. That's not lost on me when we talk about that, because I think it is bell-shaped. I've talked about this before. I think there's reason why the bell is shaped that way and the Liberty cracked, that maybe the firmament was somehow cracked. And to what Mimi was saying, of course, everyone here should know about my website, all the clouds. and how water is the only thing alive, and clouds are water just in a gaseous form, just collected. They're pure consciousness. So another consciousness is in here in the form of clouds. Now maybe that wasn't here before. That's I don't. Does the Bible mention clouds at all? That's something I'll have to look into a bit. That's very interesting.
I think it does.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah.
But maybe not before the flood.
God
That
comes.
that could be a thing.
Correct. Yeah, because God comes down as a cloud for Moses, but that was way after the flood.
Yeah, as we remember through our timeline.
Yeah, I'm in numbers right
Still
now. So I'm reading
fascinated
that.
I'm still fascinated by that.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, we were just talking about pyramids and question the answers. He said this before I mentioned that. He said the pyramids aren't mentioned in the word ? Or just to refer to them as grain storage. I used to think the pyramids were so the Nephilim could try to survive the flood. So they aren't called pyramids and that's for sure. They are not called pyramids. But actually, Nomad said this to me one time that they may be like the Mount of Olives may have been a pyramid or something.
Like they called it a mountain.
Yeah, they could have referred to that. Translations get changed and all that. So it could be when they're talking about certain mountains that they could be talking about pyramids.
Or just even buildings, like, because it does talk about big art, like they're building big structures and things like that. And if you look around Egypt, there's like pyramids everywhere, from what I understand. It's not just the
the
three
there's
main
pyramids here
right.
too.
So like that's kind of just like the architecture of that area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's pyramids all over America. There's a lot in Georgia, actually. There's a ton in Antarctica as well. I mean, there's pyramids just everywhere. There's pyramids on the moon. Is the moon even real?
It is crazy how sometimes you'll see a mountain or you'll see mountains and then you'll see something that's like, it looks literally like a pyramid, just like mashed
less
in
defined.
with the mountains. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but in Alaska, I saw a couple places that were like that, where it's just like mountain ranges, but then there's just the one area that just looks totally different.
Like the pyramid in the gorge. It's like, what is that doing in here? Like, this is a big crack, in the earth, and there's like a baby pyramid. It's like,
right.
It's not like they could like fly it in and drop it down. Like it was there.
Yeah. Yeah. So question the answers follows up with another good comment. A theory. Bible events / people actually happened over here in USA instead of Middle East, which is interesting for sure. In that idea, I see Devil's Tower maybe being a chopped down Tower of Babel. I wouldn't say the Tower of Babel. I'd say it's a tree that was chopped down, and probably the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's called the Devil's Tower for a reason. That I think that. So there's actually a lot of YouTube channels that are pretty dedicated to America being the original old world. There's a lot of guys that cover it and do a really good job with it.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about that a few times. I think you've had some guests on that have kind of gone into that, haven't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
But I think that it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, history rhymes, right? So I think it could also be that these things were happening in different locations at different times. We see Rome still kind of permeating within America even today, right?
Yeah, like reflections
in
of each other.
Bigger fractals.
Right. Yeah, it's the Fibonacci spiral. It's happening here, but it's also happening on this point, and it's also happening on this point, and it's also happening on this point,
Going by our timeline from Bible study, if we go back to like Adam and Eve, okay, and we're talking about dogs, wolves, blah, 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 going from big to small. If Adam and Eve were so many thousands of years ago, and we're so big, like that would make sense that might actually be a gigantic tree.
Yeah.
And now, that many years later, we are these little people.
They live so long.
I think that's what happened. I think that the atmosphere changed, and that's why we have things that were bigger and larger. Did you guys ever see commercials for or see the movie? There was like some movie with Oh, who is it? I don't remember. One of the main kind of big actors.
Oh, yeah,
but
that
he,
movie. I'm just kidding.
everybody. It was like everybody was shrunk down. It was like it felt like a very propaganda movie.
Honey,
like
I Shrunk the
trying to,
Kids, or
No, it was trying to
Bug
promote like
Life.
the idea was they were gonna save the environment by making everything and everyone super small so that they didn't take.
I
up
know
as
what you're
many
talking about.
resources.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyways,
I don't
it
have
was
my
just,
phone with me. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, it was a weird. It might have been called
Dang.
Small or something like that. It was a very long, boring, weird
shoot.
movie, but that's
I
what
do
it
know
kind
what
of
you're talking
reminds
about.
me of. Like I feel like that already happened in a way.
I don't know how to work your phone.
Yeah, yeah. I think that for sure. The Rocks Were Alive Facebook group, Instagram page that I go in there, and Mud Fossil University. Just such
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon's in
Mhm.
it. Question the answer said. But yeah, there's just such weird stuff with. Then you get into the Giants, and I said a million times that everything just got smaller.
Downsizing.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, but I
I
heard.
saw this. I remember
I
the
might
Ten
see
out
little
the
of 10,
trailer.
intro
don't
where they're like on a
recommend.
bus or something, getting ready to get shrunk.
Did it just come out?
No, it was years ago. It was terrible.
2017.
Yeah,
There's
it
not
was
many
terrible.
movies where I remember just being like, oh man.
But there
like,
were
that
some
was
other
hard to
ones.
Christoph
watch.
Yeah.
Waltz, Matt Damon, Kristen Wiig, Hong Chau.
Kristen Wiig. That's who I remember being on the thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I remember that.
Well. All right. Well. Oh, my mom stopped by. Hey, Mom. She hit the like button. Thank you. I think this is probably the first live stream she's ever seen. So, welcome.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
We got to do another examining the evidence soon.
I want to
know.
do that. We got to. I want to be in on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to.
I need a topic to research.
I was thinking about canceling my StreamYard account because I haven't been using it, and it
I
costs.
know.
It costs. I think I'm only paying $10 a month still right now because I got it on discount last year. But
We could use mine. You could cancel yours. We could just use mine.
Oh, you got one? All right. Yeah, we can do that then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just have to send. I don't know because I have all this different stuff on here. Can I send it over to yours? We'll just have to see.
I mean, and I can make some overlays too, or you can send me whatever. I got the.
Cool.
Yeah, the little logo and all that. Let me pull up the logo because I put in a lot of work on. There we go. Dun dun dun. I put in a lot of work on this, but I'm just being pulled away from doing the internet thing, and softball is really softball is really calling me. Just being a pillar in my community is really calling to me. Just showing people how to live, and I see people around me are being changed. People at work are being changed just by me being around, and I'm not saying it's because of me. I'm saying it's because of God, and the presence of God is just. I've given myself over to Him so much that He's just changing everything around me and everyone around me, and I'm just becoming a pillar in my community for a reason because I think that we need these connections.
Lead by example.
Yeah, we need these connections, and that we need to get away from the internet because I think that it's time for the internet to go. Something to that effect.
Yeah, I'm definitely planning to try. My goal is to be able to live without it, right?
Slowly,
I feel
yeah.
That, and I've definitely been feeling that call. Obviously, I haven't been putting out as many podcasts lately, so I've definitely been in that same vibration lately.
I do enjoy using it for the Bible studies on Sunday. So anybody that is listening or watching,
we use that with Zoom though.
Yeah,
that's different.
Well,
I pay for
I
that
mean
for
the internet.
Oh.
And the internet in general we use for Bible studies.
Yeah.
So I want to invite those that are listening today, if they would like to join in on that on Sundays.
Yeah,
let us know.
Send me an email. Yeah, it's always open.
It's 1 hour, no biggie.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a good group that typically comes. Nomad's part of it usually. Paul, he's not here tonight, but he's usually part of it. Angie, Debbie,
Brianna, yeah, we got a good group.
Yeah, and Claire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where are we going after the Gospels?
I don't know. I think that I might want to do the rest of the New Testament because I think
Okay.
Acts is kind of important to go over. But like I do want to do Proverbs because that's like rules to live by. So that's something that calls to me. There's so many great books though. You know, you can't really. It's hard to pick and choose. But Acts, I think I want to do because that's like the continuation of the apostles after Jesus. So I think that one is very important to get into as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure the Spirit will guide you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not too concerned with things anymore.
Right.
When like things are just coming at me, I'm like, okay, like I got it. Like it's so funny. The other guy for the organization, he's the head guy, and he was on vacation, and then all of a sudden I was having 4 different new people come in the middle of a practice. They were supposed to have their own practice. That coach didn't show up or whatever. They saw me. I was set up a half hour early. We have music going. You know, we're having a good time. So he calls me and he's like, "Hey, you're gonna have 3 or 4 girls come over," and he's freaking out because he's on vacation. He's like, "I don't know if he's going to be able to handle it." Blah blah blah. So I'm just like, "Okay, yeah, that's no problem." And he told me the other day, he's like, "I was freaking out. I don't know how you kept your calm." I'm just like, "Yeah, I just let things happen now. You know, God's in control of it
It's the
all.
reason they came to me.
Yeah, God just is in control of everything." So I just sit back and I'm like, "Okay, this is what's happening now," and I just go with the flow.
Yeah, man. When you're not living for yourself, there's a crazy peace that comes with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So last thing here, question. The answer just said, I wonder if the
Oh.
Food Forest is doing good. We're about to make our new homestead and can't wait to do it. That's awesome. Food Forest it's coming along. It's
It
difficult.
is. So I'm definitely starting to learn some things. I'm learning about certain critters and how much I don't like them.
Yeah, it's hard
And
with
how to
the
keep them
bugs.
away. Our tomato plants got kind of the rain brought the hornworms, and the hornworms like are decimating the leaves and everything. So I have to like go out every day and pluck them off, and you know there's
Mimi's been
so
working her
many
butt
after
off.
the rain. And then yeah, there's certain plants I didn't think they would eat, and then they were eating those, and then all my squash got eaten by squash borers, and I've even like I've learned that you have to cut the stem open and pull the squash borers out, and then you can kind of like do some doctor stuff and get it um, back to growing. But every time I've done the little plant surgery, the plant still dies. So I'm like, I got rid of all my squash plants, but my cucumbers are doing excellent. The blueberries, the turmeric and ginger is all coming through. All my spices are working out, and I still am getting some cherry tomatoes and enough for us. I mean, not really enough to share, and plenty of jalapenos. We got jalapenos like for days.
Well, and it's interesting. The
So
Bible says that well, God was telling Moses that you should wait till your 5th year. Annie, get away from her.
well then,
That the 5th year is the first time you should have
like
a
a
fruitful
full
uh
harvest.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
you're
we've
not
got
actually
plenty of
you're not
cucumbers.
supposed to eat it until the 5th year. You're supposed to give your whole thing up the 3rd year. You're supposed to just let it live and die the first 2 years, and then you're supposed to give it all to God as a sacrifice the 3rd year. The 4th year, I forget exactly what it is, and then
It's
the 5th
definitely
year you're allowed to eat
practice.
it.
It's good practice. And then all the classes I'm taking with like Lanny and the
Yeah.
local farm place over here, I'm learning what like weeds I can actually eat out of my
Yeah, we
yard,
got a
and
lot
like
of weeds.
things to do with acorns that you can make,
And
and
our grass is so
all kinds
long.
of
Our
stuff.
lawnmower broke twice now in the last few
That
weeks.
was a fiasco.
So our
Almost
grass,
chopped my leg off.
yeah, yeah, it's a literal forest out back right now. I
Mm.
went out there earlier. I'm like, holy smokes, it's high. We're just super busy and getting that fixed. So
Yeah, we got our lawnmower fixed, and I guess the new blade wasn't like fully bolted on, and it like literally flew off when I was mowing the lawn. Like,
Yikes.
thank God there was no animal or leg or
child,
child.
person,
Yeah,
or
like
plant.
oh,
Yeah. So
that was frustrating.
God was like, stop cutting the grass,
I
Mimi.
was listening to good old Christian music while we are ready to mow the lawn, and I'm like, thank you, God,
Yeah.
that I was nowhere near that blade.
Yeah.
You need those perennial peanuts I was talking about. Then you don't have to mow. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right. Peanuts grow in bunches around here too. They grow super easy.
No,
Yep.
the perennial peanut is like a plant that in certain areas, at least, like I know in Hawaii, you can do it, but it'll grow and take over areas, and it's super soft and you can play on it like you would grass, but you don't have to mow it. It doesn't like keep growing vertically.
I wonder
it's
if
just
it
a
keeps
nice
critters
looking. It's like
away.
yellow.
All right, let me look it up.
Maybe, yeah. I
Perennial
think that's
peanut.
what it's called, perennial peanut. Yeah.
I'm down. I'm ready to like throw wood chips and gravel, like, and increase the size of my food forest and not worry about grass anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. It looks like it.
Are you gonna share it?
Oh,
You can, and then I'll throw it up.
okay, let me make sure I have a good one here.
Oh, it's pretty. I always wanted like soft picnic grass.
Yeah, it looks like it's called like peanut grass.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many things that grow in your regular grass if it's not treated with, pesticides and yard stuff. There's so many things that are edible in your yard that have way more nutritional value than half the things that you buy at the store.
Yeah.
So I've been learning what I can forage out of just like my backyard grass.
Do you get any mushrooms in there?
Actually, I do have mushrooms growing.
Not edible ones.
Not edible ones, but I have mushrooms growing like by my tomato plants and everything, which tells me that I have good soil. So that's helpful to know. When you see the mushrooms, you know you have some good compost soil. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us.
Yeah,
this was a good
I
chat.
think it was Sharon.
Do you have a photo or no?
Oh yeah, I do have it. Sorry, I was in a different window. I can share it real quick if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, might as well. We teased it.
Teased it up.
Might as well show the audience that's here. Then thanks for everyone for stopping by. I kind of just threw this together last minute, and I'm glad that you're all here to be part of it.
Oh, there you go.
All right, let's make it full screen for us. Okay.
And it stays that low.
It's just,
I'm down for that. I wonder if it's edible in any kind of way. Do you know?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it's just low maintenance, right? So it keeps growing. It stays good all year round as long as it's like nice out.
Perennial peanuts. I'm gonna do some research.
Yeah.
I'm about to put anything edible in my yard.
Oh, I was gonna throw on my website.
Go ahead.
I just happen to have it.
Boom. Everybody go to his website, nomad.art.
Exclusive music, new album just dropped. You can also find me on Patreon as Nomad. Check it out.
Yeah, and I get so many comments or compliments, I should say, but comments, positive comments about the bridge.
Yep.
People are like,
they love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
When'd you get that? Who did that for you? And I'm like, yeah, it's all in the description. It's always in the description. Oh, also, you got merch too?
I have this Fruit of the Spirit shirt. I don't know how well you can see it here, but it's got like the Fruit of the Spirit written out in a bunch of different fonts.
Oh, nice.
A bunch of my different friends, they each wrote a different word, and then I put it all together and I also have a coffee mug out of it. So.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Everyone
to get some merch.
Yeah, go to nomad.art as well. You can go to patreon.com/nomad, right?
Do that.
What was that last part you said?
Patreon.com/nomad.
Yep.
Nomad with a G, just in case you forgot.
Yep, GNOMAD if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, it was great having you on. You can hold on a second. We'll hang up properly. But everyone else, it was great being here. Go sign up at the Patreon. I'm probably taking down my website this month as well. So just go sign up at the Patreon if you want to catch any exclusive stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm going to try to have that still go, but I'm going to be careful with what I do over the next month, or I think it's September is when my strikes come up. So just stay tuned.
And again, if you want to join us on the Bible studies on Sunday, please let us know.
Yes.
We'll get you in.
Absolutely.
It's a very, relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah, we have.
We're all learning together.
Right, we have a great time.
Yeah, and it's good to just have people praying with you.
Yes.
So
And
we
to
pray
bounce
twice.
things off of and learn from each other.
Yeah, we learned so much. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Paul and Nomad are doing some research while, like, I might read something
Yep.
and ask a question, then Mimi, Paul, and Nomad, they're all on it, and they bring different perspectives, and
Yeah.
our different Bibles have different little quips that we'll get into. It's a wonderful time.
Yeah. I love it.
would love to see you guys there.
Yeah.
Me
So
too.
send me an email with the subject Bible study, and I'll
give them
I'll
the
add you
email
in.
so they know right now.
Yeah, the Great Chakra Awakening 777@gmail.com. Debbie, what?
Debbie.
I didn't even know you were
Debbie.
here, Debbie. You better be there tomorrow, Sunday at Bible study. We talked
miss
on the phone
you.
earlier
We
this
talk
week.
about
Yeah.
you. We pray for you. We
Yep.
love you.
Yeah. And if you guys join the Patreon, you can watch past Bible studies. That's the only place you can watch it at. So it's the Great Chakra Awakening 777@gmail.com. And just so you know, that was just an email that I've had for quite some time. So if anyone has any problems with that, take it up with God.
So new age.
Yeah. Well,
I never thought about it until you just said that.
yeah.
I was just like, that's his email. Whatever. I've had the same email forever.
Yeah. All right. I hope to see you there, Debbie.
Oh, good. We miss you, Debbie.
Yes, we do. Oh, yeah. She said hi the other day when we spoke on the phone. I forgot to tell you, Mimi.
Oh.
There. I told her, Debbie.
That's all right. I texted her I don't know, a week ago, maybe
nice.
2 weeks ago. I don't know.
Good.
I was thinking about her.
All right. All right. Well, we will talk to you all later. Bye.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Peace.